friends, welcome back to another video. I am really aware that this background is quite odd. My backgrounds have been really odd lately because I am in the middle of, well, we've moved in now, but because it's a new flat, it's still quite empty and we're still waiting on furniture. So until those bookshelves come in, I'm just going to be constantly moving the camera to find angles that don't have boxes in places. You might be able to tell from outside right now, but it's very wet and grey right now, so I thought it'd be perfect to film a moody dark academia reading vlog. I'm also aware that there is not only construction outside, but because it's so wet and grey, it was casting such a dark overcast shadow here, so I wanted to turn the lights on, but then it's giving a spotlight effect anyways. I can't wait for these bookshelves to arrive so I can properly arrange a nice setup for you all. But like I was saying, I wanted to film a dark academia inspired video for a while now because I've always liked the aesthetic. I love all the outfits that seem to be inspired by it. Earlier this year I picked up Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I know in America you might pronounce it Babel, but I think in England we say Babel. I thought that Babel was incredibly well written and the magic in it was so creative, and you can just tell how intelligent R.F. Kuang is as well. I think the first ever sort of dark academia sub-genre of book that I managed to read was the Atlas 6 series. I read up to halfway through book 2 and then I decided not to really carry on with it because I wasn't enjoying it as much as I did the first one. But I haven't read any of the great classics like The Secret History or If We Were Villains. So I did ask over on Instagram what sort of dark academia book recommendations you had, and I actually haven't looked through it, so we'll see what there is. Oh, so okay, yes, The Secret History, the Atlas 6, Dead Poets, the Dead Poet Society. I might actually pick the Dead Poet Society up because I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I wanted to watch the film for ages, so I believe the book is an adaptation off of the film, right? I think the vibes of the Dead Poet Society might be perfect for today. If We Were Villains as well. I really want to read If We Were Villains. The plan for today is to go to my local library, or one of my local libraries, and spend the day there browsing through some dark academia inspired books to see if there are any worth purchasing or borrowing from the library. I'm currently in the middle of a book buying ban and I have been doing so well for the last few months, and the goal is to last a couple more weeks until Christmas. And so I really want to be able to utilize my library, and I've also been really good at reading from my physical TBR because I really need to shrink that down. So hopefully I'll find a couple new favorite books before the end of this year, and now all I have left to do is to pack my bag and to go to the library. As you can see, it was a very dreary day, and as I was on the bus to the library, I thought it would be a good idea to open up Libby and see if there were any books that I could read or listen to along the way. After scrolling a little bit, I stumbled across the ebook version of If We Were Villains. I started reading a couple of pages on the bus and absolutely fell in love with the writing, so I knew that I wanted to browse the library once I got there for a copy of it. And if not, I definitely wanted to purchase a copy from the bookstore. My local library doesn't have the largest selection of books, so I didn't end up finding some of the books that were on my lookout list. For instance, I was trying to see if they had a copy of Bunny by Mona Ward, or The Secret History by Donna Tartt, or even Dead Poet Society. But I was really excited to see that they had a copy of If We Were Villains, and also Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I really want to pick up sometime, as well as lots of classics to choose from as well. Lately, I've been trying my best not to purchase books and have been on a book buying ban for a few months now, and it's been really successful actually because it's the longest ban that I've ever been on. My goal was to try to read as many books from my physical TBR as possible before allowing myself to purchase a couple of new books for Christmas. But at the time of this voiceover, spoiler alert, I eventually caved in and ended up buying a few books. But I'm not too mad about it because it was close enough to the goal. As I was planning this video, I realised that I've unknowingly been really enjoying books of this particular dark academia aesthetic over the last few months now. For example, I picked up The Picture of Dorian Gray, and it's now one of my new favourite classics, and I also really enjoyed Ava Reid's A Study in Drowning, which is a fantasy that's like a combination of folklore and dark academia, so clearly I've been gravitating towards this genre of books, and maybe it has something to do with these colder days. But I left the library with my copy of If We Were Villains and then made my way over to Waterstones, where I came across so many books that I was really tempted to buy. But on this particular day, I managed to exert some sort of self-control and I didn't buy anything on impulse, although I did have a lovely time browsing through all the books, including some new ones that I hadn't seen before. Then I made my way to the Waterstones cafe that's next door to the bookshop, where I settled down with my cup of hot chocolate and new library book and annotation supplies. I knew that I wanted to highlight or sticky tab lots of quotes throughout the book as I was reading the ebook version on the bus, but because I had a library book, I obviously can't and couldn't annotate it, so instead I used little pieces of paper to jot down which bits I specifically wanted to highlight and the page number for future reference, so that in case I get my own copy of the book, it'll be easier for me to transfer everything. I also was able to get my hands on the audiobook version of The Secret History via Libby, as you can see from the screen recording here, and I didn't realise this, but the audiobook is actually recorded by Donna Tartt herself. But after a couple of minutes of listening to the audiobook, I decided that I thought I'd prefer physically reading this one, so I decided to save this one for a different time instead. As I was reading If We Were Villains, I logged all the details into my Lotion library, and I thought I'd share with you all the finished sort of log here. Sometimes when I read a book, I'll have lots and lots of comments that I want to record, but this time round I was so absorbed whilst reading the book that I noticed that I didn't end up recording many thoughts down after all. I know that a lot of you have questions whenever I share some of the pages from my Notion library and also my weekly planner on Notion, but I hope to share a proper run through of it all and perhaps even share a template for you all one day. Have you read any dark academia books, and which one is your favourite if you have? Let me know in the comments below. Hey friends, so I've now completed reading If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and I also ended up picking up a short story collection, so I thought it would be really good to just have a little bit of a chat and tell you my thoughts on the two books. My husband and I recently picked up this delicious apple cinnamon tea, so I've got my mug with me today. It's actually a little bear that my mum gifted me. It's so cute. But this is going to keep me company as I tell you a little bit about my reading experience with the books. You will have seen me grabbing this copy from the library, and I enjoyed it so much that I definitely need my own physical copy of it as well to add to my personal collection. I don't think I managed to outline this in the earlier part of the video, so I'll explain what this book is about now. And it follows a group of students who are, well, thespian students, so they study drama, but specifically Shakespeare. As time passes, you see them as they struggle to put behind the identity of their characters that they're performing on stage with their real selves, and so you see them unable to put their characters behind. But the book unfolds as you follow a character called Oliver Marks, who was one of these students, but he's just come out of serving 10 years in prison for a murder he may or may not have committed. So it's a murder mystery and thriller book, obviously with the dark academia elements coming in with these students who are obsessed over studying Shakespeare together. This book gave me the same chills as I got when I was reading Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I actually ended up loving it just as much as that book. I've come to realize that I just love reading about really clever and pretentious students in an academic setting. It always manages to grip me. ML Rio managed to craft such an incredible environment for this book. On the one hand, you get that beautiful eeriness that comes through because the students perform their plays often by the lakeside or in the woods during the middle of the night. And of course, there's also that mystery, murder mystery element and the thriller aspect that is pulsing throughout the heart of the story. But on the other hand, you get that wonderful coziness and a sense of real warmth and comfort when the students retreat back into their dorms, and they call the dorm building the castle. So the castle has a wonderful library, obviously their bedrooms, and also a roaring fireplace where they're all just studying and revising and learning lines for the plays that they're performing. Throughout the entire time I was reading this, I was just in awe of ML Rio's ability to craft such a wonderful and really intelligent story, and I just became really attached to all the characters in this book, but specifically Oliver. So yes, I loved seeing the dynamics between the different friends and their close-knit friendship group. I loved the characters. I also loved the atmosphere in the castle and the woods and the campus itself. But because this book was borrowed from the library, I now need to go and return it before it expires, and I definitely need to pick up my own copy of this, and I really want to be able to annotate it all properly But that was If We Were Villains, and then I also picked up this Dark Academia anthology by, well, it's edited by Marie O'Regan and Paul Kane. Like I mentioned briefly before, it is a collection of short stories from some of Dark Academia's best authors currently, and so you've got stories from ML Rio herself, as well as Olivia Blake and Susie Yang, David Bell, JT Ellison, and lots more authors. When I saw that ML Rio had participated in this collection, I knew that I wanted to pick it up. So far, I'm really enjoying it, and besides from one story which wasn't as, it didn't leave quite so much of an impact as the others did. But yeah, besides that one story, I think these short stories are just really, really incredible because they are all Dark Academia inspired. A lot of them so far have been set in school environments, and so if you like that sort of atmosphere, then maybe you'll enjoy picking up lots of different short stories that all revolve around some sort of academic setting. I didn't realize that In These Hallowed Halls was already out in the bookshops, so when I saw it at Waterstones, I was really tempted to buy it, and actually the day that I came across it at the shops, I didn't purchase it, but then I had to go back and buy it because I couldn't stop thinking about this collection. And I'm really glad that I did because I'm really enjoying it. But in conclusion, it appears that Dark Academia is just one of my favourite subgenres of all time. The fact that some of my favourite books of this year have come from this subgenre, like The Picture of Dorian Gray, Babel, If We Were Villains, it just all points to the fact that I should probably read more of these kind of books. So yes, I'm really eager to pick up more Dark Academia novels, and this little anthology is a great way, I think, for me to be exposed to more authors who write in this genre. I had a real blast whilst filming this video, and I'm so glad I came across a new favourite as well. I'm currently planning a winter book recommendations video as well as a come book shopping with me kind of video, but if you have any other videos that you'd like to watch, do let me know in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video though, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye friends!